Hey coaches, how's it going? We are back again for another installment of this middle school air raid series. Thank you so much for joining us all the way through this journey. We are almost to the end. Today we are getting into our 3-day install, how that works, what it looks like, and then we'll show you what a practice looks like in camp versus what a practice plan looks like during the season. So yeah, let's get into it. If we haven't already, please do make sure you're connected on all our social channels. Obviously, YouTube is huge, so please click that subscribe button down here. And we all definitely want to highlight everything else, but especially this bi-weekly coaches roundtable. Please join, whether you're a spread coach or not. We want to just get better as youth coaches, so let's do that together. We are on the install and practice plans. We just got the scripting one left after this. And so let's do this. Let me show you. Let's start with the 3-day install, because I think that's really how to kind of start this conversation, because we've picked our plays, and you know, I want to make it clear, guys. I was thinking about this last night. The 12 plays is not an air raid thing. The small playbook is. Last year, like I said, we had 3 quick games, all verts, stick, corner, and I ran shallow with that for most of the year. So for most of the season, it was 4 pass plays plus screens, but those are just handoffs to me. We ran mesh toward the end of the year. Wish I ran it more, so I'm going to do that from day 1 this year, and I believe I'm going to run cross. So my point is that, you know, whether it's 10 plays, 8 plays, 12 plays, pick whatever you want. The point is you want a small playbook, and you want to be able to rep the heck out of them, and you're not going to do that with over 12. So I would very much consider 12 being the max. You'll see on this sheet here, our install, I've literally taken the 12 plays here and input them into the spreadsheet, which I'll share with you guys. I'll attach it to the place on our website that has this video. But essentially, we've placed each of these. So our 3 quick game. So for day 1, week 1, this first Monday of camp, where we have 3 offensive practices a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll do defense Tuesday and Thursday during camp. And we'll do that for 4 weeks. Actually, we have 4 weeks of camp. Just 1 a day. The 2 days is gone, 3 days is gone. But anyway, so every Monday, we're going to take this first quick game, and we're going to put that in here. So every Monday, we're going to work on 4 verts throughout camp, okay? And we're going to take our first drop back game that you want to work on. And I do shallow here, so I'll put that here. So every Monday, we're going to work on 4 verts as our quick game, and shallow as our drop back game. Again, drive is shallow, but at a 3x1. Every day, every Monday, I'm going to install our quick screens. So that's our quick screens, bubble screens, pedal screens, whatever you want to call it. Lucy or Larry and Roger is what we call it. So every Monday. So now we've put our run play in here as well. We start with counter because that's our bread and butter. So every Monday is going to look exactly the same to the kids, as far as the linemen are going to work on pass pro and counter, okay? The receivers are going to work on 4 verts, shallow, and Larry and Roger every Monday. Now, as you can see, this is Monday week 1. This is Monday week 2. We're going to layer in more formations. So come out first week, be, you know, stripped down. We're just going to do 2x2. The next week we'll get into 2x2 and 3x1, but still working on these same routes. So if you can see, day 2 on week 1, we're going to install the next 3 plays. So stick, power, mesh, and loosing rows, or tunnel screens to the boundary. Okay. And day 3 of week 1, day 3 of offense of week 1, I should say, we'll do the rest. Okay. So last year, instead of doing cross, I just had, you know, mesh here twice. So if you choose to not have all 12 plays, that's fine. You can mix and match if you want an additional quick game. Let's just say you want to take out cross and put in slant out, which again, Coach Joe Salas almost had me doing this. I just don't know where to put it. There's just too many plays I want to run, but you could, you know, take out cross here and put slant out there, right? And just have this slot to work on that play. There's enough slots and enough time to do it. But basically what I'm trying to get across to you is more than 12. Not only do I don't think you have time in a youth football game with this clock that's ticking away quickly to run more than that, you probably won't even get to all these plays in a game anyway. So let's just focus on the plays that you have time to practice and really that you have time to run in the game, okay? So basically this is the way it works. Week 1, we have everything inputted. We're gonna go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Week 2, we're gonna come back with the same exact plays. On Monday, the line is just gonna only work on counter in Pass Pro. And on Wednesdays, they're only gonna work on power in Pass Pro. So these individual drills, and we'll get into the practice plans, they're very specific, and that is how you isolate one play and just rep it. And we'll have 4 Monday practices in camp where all they're doing that whole day is focused on counter and focused on Pass Pro. And that's how you get great at something. It's just rep after rep after rep, okay? So that is 3-day install. I'll attach this to the website, like I said, so you can play with it and input your plays there. But here's what day 1 of camp looks like. And basically, I'll put this on there too. I don't know. There's a million different practice plan templates out there. I use this one. I kind of like it because you can kind of encompass everything at once. But basically, this is day 1 on the first Monday. And like I said, we're working on our 2x2 set. So if you look here, 2x2 the whole week. So for us, ace and open are 2x2. Both of those we'll work on, and we're going to run counter out of both of these all week. We're going to run 4 verts out of both of these all week. We're going to work on shallow out of both these all week, and Larry and Roger out of 2x2 all week, okay? And so when we get into our routes on air and 7-on-7s, these are the plays and the routes that go with these plays. These are what we're going to be actually doing during these drills, the specific routes, okay? So we come out, I've mentioned a couple times, we started the season by doing traditional stretch. It was a waste of time, I think. So we started getting into doing settle and noose and pat and go as our warm up. So you can see here, practice starts at 6 for us. From 6 to 6:10, we're doing settle and noose as a wide receiver, quarterback, and running back group. And O-line is doing Pass Pro technique. So we have painted on our grass practice field boxes where they can, you know, slowly do their walk forward with their feet properly, but really get into position and then do vertical drops, get in position, do vertical drops. So we go through our O-line technique drills as a warm up for them. And then the next, so from 6 to 6:10 is settle and noose. From 6:10 to 6:20, as you can see there, the quarterbacks, receivers, and running backs are doing pat and go. As we said before, settle and noose is like 20 to 30%, and pat and go gets, you know, 50% and a little bit more. So you're really starting to warm up at that point. The O-line is going to go hit the sled for 10 minutes, really get the blood flowing, okay? Then we get into water, and then we get into Indy, okay? So everyone does this a little different. For us, from 6:25 to 6:35, so that's 10 minutes, everyone's with their individual coach working on technique, okay? The O-line is pretty much together with camp just beginning. You know, we really want to make sure we get our stance and starts right, but we should have already been working on that with conditioning week. So really, we want to start installing counter at this point. So coaches will kind of walk through, talk through against bags, start you know, talking about counter assignments as a whole with the O line, and then we'll get into starting to rep it against bags and people at that point for the next 10 minutes while the quarterbacks and receivers and running backs are doing their individual indie drill for the next 10 minutes. Okay, and we'll break for water. Then we'll get into a period again that's kind of broken up depending on what you are, who you are. So again, this is a way for running backs or receivers and quarterbacks. We'll be doing routes on air. So we'll get into full, you know, 2x2 sets and start running against the cans, our plays as a group, right? Out of ace and open. Then we'll get into 7-on-7. And so those are 10-minute period each. While receivers and quarterbacks are doing that, running backs and O-line do a 10-minute period on inside run where literally it's tackle to tackle with the running back and a quarterback, and we're just repping inside run, counter left, counter right, different situations of counter. And then the next 10 minutes would be inside pass. I described it on a previous video, but it's literally tackle to tackle, quarterback, running back, and a D line, and maybe a linebacker if you want to work on blitzing. But it's full speed. The quarterback is sitting in the pocket. We want him to work his feet in the pocket, look downfield, and then at some point throw it out to a coach or a running or a receiver that's out there. So those, you know, we'll get to a point where these are full speed. The first week of practice, obviously, it's going to be a little tough, but very quickly these turn into full speed periods. We want to set the tone with our line, obviously, and want to make sure they know that running the ball is number one importance, and then pass pro is not passive. So that's really when we start having those conversations. Okay, and then we'll get into our team period. And in camp, it's a little different than the regular season. So we'll literally take 10 minutes and just rep either against the defense or against air, but really probably against the defense at this point. We'll just do 10 minutes of 4 verts out of different looks and different defensive looks, really get them, you know, really understanding how it works and pre-snap and all those reads. Then we'll do 10 minutes of shallow, 10 minutes of Larry and Roger, and then we'll get into the bandit drill, which I explained to you on the last video. But that's basically like going up and down the field, practicing these plays again, very consistent with repping these plays. Okay, now we can do this as a team. We did it quite a bit as a team last year. Toward the middle of the season, you know, I was having a real problem with the O-line not really getting coached as much as I would have liked during these group periods because everyone's looking at the receivers. So I started having the lineman coaches coming in the middle of the actual team drill, coaching interior separately. Okay, at some point, sometimes we would just have them go out to a different part in the field and go practice. I'm all about the quality reps with coaches coaching and not missing opportunities to do that. So I would almost say it's probably smarter to do this separately so they can really get into it and really focus in on it. If you wanted to do it on the field all together, I think that's fine too. I just make sure that your O-line coaches are focused on only that. They're not looking at the pretty receptions or what the play looks like and all the motions and all that. We just need to make sure that both of these groups are getting everything they need. Okay, so that is a typical practice during camp, and obviously, as you can see, we are really repping these 3 passing plays and this running play. I mean, the whole practice is built around rep. Okay, so we get out of camp and we're just in the regular season. And so during camp, we have 5 practices, 3 offensive. During the season, we only have Tuesday, which is an offensive day, Wednesday, which is a defensive day, and Thursday, which is both and special teams. Okay, so it's more of a walkthrough day. So I know a lot of people like to do offense and defense on the same day. I've never been able to make that work. So this is what an offensive Tuesday offensive day looks like for us during the season. So as you can see, we come to practice and we're ready now to work all three formations, 2x2, 3x1, and 2-back. Okay. This week, so you kind of want a game plan with your coaches coming into the practice and want to work on a specific, game plan. So on this game plan for last year, we were going to throw verts, stick, and corner, mesh and shallow, and then tunnel screens and bubble screens. And then we really wanted to work on counter. So really, once you've kind of set your game plan up and what you're going to use that week, with only 12 plays, there's a good chance you're going to want to use everything. But this is an example of how you can kind of pick and choose and then focus around it again. So warm-ups again, same thing. We're getting into our everyday drills basically as warm-ups. Indy is basically the same thing. The only real difference is that on inside pass, we're getting everyone involved with that except the receivers. Okay. One thing I realized I forgot to say is during this session where it is the quarterbacks and receivers are doing routes on air and 7-on-7, and then the running backs and linemen are doing inside pass and inside run. If you have two quarterbacks and two sets of running backs, you want to rotate through like 5 minutes with the first team of running back and quarterback here, and then rotate with the second team here. And then they can go back and forth, whether it's every 10 minutes or whatever the cadence is. You want a running back and a quarterback at both of these slots, working on both these things, and then do a rotation. Okay, sorry, just realized I didn't say that. So Indy is pretty much the same, right? So quarterbacks will have Indy, receivers will have their Indy, running backs will have their technique on Indy. We invite the quarterbacks and running backs again to get involved with inside pass because we just really want that to be second nature to these guys. Receivers can continue to work on technique, work on get offs or getting off press or, the foot fire, whatever the case may be. Okay. And then this is where it really starts to look different in season versus out season. Okay, so we'll do a lot of specialty drills like the orbit drill we talked about yesterday for the screens. Really want to do routes on air. And now that we can do routes on air and we have all these plays installed, we can really just rep it out and go from, like I said, go around the horn with the quarterbacks you have. Each quarterback gets a throw to each receiver, move on to verts. Each quarterback gets a throw to each receiver, move on to shallow. Each quarterback gets a throw to on stick for each receiver, move on to corner. So you can really move through routes on air pretty quickly. And then we'll do 7-on-7 again for offense and defensive purposes. The whole time the line is doing an inside period. Again, 10 minutes of inside run, full speed, high intensity, and then again with the inside pass, full speed, high intensity. Okay. And so that looks different than the install practice. And then what's really different is we use this whole last period as a bandit drill. Okay. And one thing that I just want to get across, I don't really believe when you get into the season, this team period to be extremely competitive. The defense, I get where we've all come from with making, make our offense better and make this defense, make them work hard against this defense, and it'll show up in the game, which, to some extent that's true. And I think scrimmages are great for that. But for everyday practices during the season, I really don't want this defense that lines up here to be, going as hard as they can against my offense. I really want this offense to get clicking. And so we do this team bandit drill that I talked about yesterday, where we basically go through the whole field, right? We're coming out from the 5 yard, and we have 3 plays that we call within that 5 to 10 yard mark backed up against the end zone. And we're going to rep that. And we're going to have a play, run a couple plays from there. We're going to move the ball around regardless of if we're successful or not. There will be a defense set up there. They will be trying, don't get me wrong, but we're going to be moving so fast that it's more important that they line up and drop to their zones and mimic what the opponents are going to do. It's much more important to do that than literally be battling for every single yard in this period. It's just not what this is for. That's what scrimmages are for, and that's not what I see this team bandit being. Okay, so we'll come out and run the length of the field, do a couple plays coming out, a bunch of plays in the middle of the field. That's all scripted, and then red zone plays, all about 10 minutes each. And then the last 10 minutes, we're just going to go as many reps as possible without a defense. Again, it's scripted up and down the field with various teams rotating in players. And this is basically this last bandit period is our conditioning. Okay, so we try to practice the whole practice at a pace where it's conditioning, but definitely this is where we're trying to get it in. We don't do real formal conditioning. It seems to be like a waste of time. And if you practice purposefully, should not be a problem. All right, so we've gone through the install. I will post all of these things. We've gone through a practice in camp, and then an install practice essentially, and then a regular season practice. So hopefully that helps clear up a few things. Obviously, ask me questions if it doesn't. I will get these things for you to kind of plug in your specific plays that you've chosen. But hopefully that helps. We're moving on to scripting the field next, and hopefully you're still continuing to get a lot out of this. Please, please, please share with another coach so they know they can run the spread at this middle school level. Okay, thanks, coaches. Talk to you soon.